Hello guys, we're back to movie reviews. In this episode we're looking at Watership Down from 1978. The classic Watership Down. Really interesting film, really interesting animated film of all time really. You know, one of the most innovative kids films ever really, I think. In terms of its tone, style-wise, story as well. It's like, probably just some really, just groundbreaking stuff really of its time really, based on a book by was it Richard Adams? Then the author's name is. Could be correct if I'm wrong. Someone will comment down me below. From 1973, got adapted. Features an interesting cast, of course, because you've got Sir John Hurt. I like Sir John Hurt. You've got Roy Kinnear as well. You've also got Basil Hawthorne as well, who people probably remember from Yes Minister, Yes Prime Minister. The producer as well, who plays the character known as Kia. You've got Hazel Fiver and all the other characters. Hazel Fiver, Bigwig. What was it again? Captain something called Warburton. That's it. I'm just trying to think of the names again because it's been a while since I've checked the film out. But I remember watching it. I haven't really seen this film as much. I know of its infamous legacy and everything else because it was, it was really. It sort of shocked a nation. It did in the late 70s because of it's certificate for children for all ages, strangely, but it's got like it's got like a lot of horrific scenes involving death, lots of gore and everything, just scary horrendous images of just of rabbits, or hares pretty much just getting slaughtered one by one, really, just like down in battle. But it's one of those impactful films really, and it's been adapted a couple of times as well. In the late 90s there was a TV series which I think I saw first actually. I do have a DVD of it somewhere, and I never really seen that film until someone pointed it out. It's like it's just dumbed down the whole thing, of course. And when I had a little look at it, I thought, oh yeah, so probably not the best start. I never watched it when I was younger, so that's a good thing, really. I did see the 2018 version that I think BBC and Netflix have done, actually. That's alright. It was like a short mini-series, that was. And decent. The graphics were a bit, just like, I feel like, has it been produced like couple of years ago, but now it's been released how many couple of years afterwards? Just depends really with that one. And yeah. But I did enjoy it actually. Saw around Christmas 2018 time, around December time. That was really pretty interesting time, that was. But back to the film, of course. I really enjoyed it because I remember I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time actually. Looking at the animation, very sort of witty, very good characters as well. Dialogue's pretty good as well. Music as well. Set pieces are really good. Animation can be dipped in out now and again really, but I still enjoyed it. You had the great song by Art Garfunkel, Bright Eyes. A really good song that is. I think it was included in one of his solo albums, I think. I forgot what it was called. It's from 1979 as well, so it's included on there, really. Just check it out. Still good. It's one of his best solo songs, really. I'm just trying to think if is there any other good songs that you can think of for Art Garfunkel. Who knows? But, again, pretty interesting stuff. And the film itself is just always great. I remember just recently I got it from lockdown because it came, strange enough, it came in a triple DVD box set. It did, with the BFG, the original 89 version, and The Wind in the Willows, the 83 version. So it's like a bit of an odd thing to put in, really. It's more of a Cosgrove whole box, but it's just shoved in Watership down the middle. It's a bit strange, but there you go, really. But I remember seeing it for whole, really good stuff, fantastic stuff. So Watership Down gets that strong seal of approval. It's a great film. People, courtesy my mother introduced me to Watership Down, so it's like, there's a strange little link there, of course. And that's it. That's Watership Down. And the next feature we'll talk about in this double bill is When the Wind Blows from 1986. So, based on the book, or the graphic novel, or the book by Raymond Briggs from 1983. And this was adapted by, and sort of handled by a guy called Jimmy Murakami, who Had some experience, of course, with working on the 1981 film Heavy Metal. Now thought I'd bring that up again, really. But I've covered Heavy Metal years ago. I think back in series 4, I covered Heavy Metal. So I've talked about it. So this is an interesting one, really, to come by, because unlike other Raymond Briggs stuff, the Raymond Briggs adaptations, you think are more sort of like light and very jolly. Of course, you've got the Snowman, you've got Father Christmas to some certain degree as well, in terms of it does its lovely design and also voice casting and everything else. You've got the Bear from the late 80s, you've got Fungus the Bogeyman, you've got Ethel and Ernest as well, very much. This is totally different in terms of tone-wise and also style-wise as well. It's basically a cliche sort of satire on the Cold War between the Soviets and United States of America and that sort of stuff. So it's around that time when I think in the 70s, really, because there was the whole thing of Protect and Survive. It sort of uses that to a certain degree in this film, really, in the book as well. It focused on two old married couple who live in the countryside, James and Hilda. Hilda's very sort of in her own little world, really, of course, and whereas James is more spot on. He's very paranoid about what is really going on because he listens to the radio, looks at newspapers, reads the pamphlet and stuff like that, just in case, because they keep, keep telling there's some certain degrees the missile's been launched, of course, and people, when it's time to panic and everything else, for the sound of the alarm, of course. Then he gets into that sort of paranoid, and also starts getting, it's very much like, it's, with the whole Protect and Survive thing, of course, you see how people just, it depends how people actually do in that situation, really, because you never really, I think no one really ever sort of done it, because it was broadcast in the 70s, of course. You get the pamphlets, and some people probably have done it, but maybe a couple people, really, but some people maybe sort of be in disbelief and say, well, what wasn't really going to happen, really. Well, they never did, really. We've never been sort of struck by a nuclear bomb, really. And obviously, it sort of uses that thing, that sort of that time, and puts it in a story. Of course, what Briggs has done. So, Bells Shelter, of course, and everything starts to go. Takes a different turn. It does when the bomb gets left up. James and Hilda go into the little shelter they do. You get the whole little montage of stuff like everything is again eradicated. People are driving around. Cars are getting flipped over, of course, causing damages. Train derails off a viaduct, of course. Windmills and houses and stuff just really get demolished, of course. And it gets really and he has like this weird, sort of like marching, like just rampant marching drum thing, of course, over the top. Really interesting stuff. Pretty good, interesting scene in that regard. Then after the fallout, everything happened. They get the bunker. They think, and they sort of like just carry on with life, really, even though their house is completely got messed. The whole place, they're in a sort of a place that's full of radiation, including the water and the sky and everything. It's like, geez, but it's sort of, it's that sort of like carry on that sort of British way, like we must stand up and just carry on, like we did, like many people did after the Second World War, really, after the Blitz had happened. People just carried on with their lives, really, even though most of the stuff is just been totally disintegrating stuff. Anything else, it's like they have to carry on from there. Really, that's basically what they do, really. And I think, we should call our son, really, even though he probably has been killed, of course. I say, I wonder if he's built the shelter yet. I think that's what James was actually doing, really, and sort of like style movie. It's like, I hope that boy's done himself a shelter, which apparently probably hadn't, really, because of like disbelief and everything else until the inevitable happened, really. And as the film progresses, of course, they suddenly get radiation poisoning. They slowly deteriorate. They do in terms of the dialogue and also the speech as well. I think it's and they sort of they become really weakened, heavily weakened, very sort of horrific design as well, really. you know, it's really just, yeah. And of course, to finish off, they just cover themselves in paper bags or just standard bags really in the attic somewhere and just just die. It is shocking, that is. And that's how it ends, really. That's how When the Wind Blows ends really, in that case. How did I come across this film entirely? Actually, I sort of knew about this film from the Towel song by David Bowie. Back in the days when I was using iTunes very much at the time, really, you know, this kind of stuff, I bought the Plan Collection, which is basically just like 3 discs, separate Bowie compilations that were released. Disc 1 was 69 to 74, Disc 2 was 74 to 79, and then Disc 3 was 80 to 87. And I remember being interested like with stuff from 80, 87 really, because it was like, there's so many stuff I never heard of, and this was one of them. I really like the song actually, because it's very punchy, it is very, just like in your face really, just like it has a sort of grandness to it as well. It was also one of the early songs that he worked with Erdo Kizoge, who's a Turkish musician who actually helped him from a few points actually, like in the sort of like in the sea, you know, from you know, working on this song to Never Let Me Down, his A7 album, to the very sort of early seeds of Tin Machine as well, when they did Look Back in Anger for the La 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 Human Steps in '88, and then toured with him as the bass player for the Sound Division tour in 1990, and then returned again for the Outside album in 1995. And so yeah, so that's, but overall it's a really good song. I really enjoy that one. It sort of fits in nicely, even though he has like some news coverage footage or like of the nuclear disarmament or whatever. Still good, really. And then the overall music as well. That sort of the score is done by Roger Waters of them Pink Floyd. At the time he left Pink Floyd, he did his, I think it's like his heart's band or something he calls it really. And basically just like have like, you know, have the sort of like military type style really included. Like you sort of see from, you can probably hear it in The Wall or something, or Final Cut, that type of thing, you know, like Roger just, you know, like again retracing the Wall steps, of course, you know, like being obsessed, I think during that time, you know, that time really. And you've also got other stuff as well, like Squeeze, Genesis as well, the Brazilian from Invisible Touch appears on here as well. Quite a few things, like, you know, like when it was released on vinyl back back of its time in '86, you had pop songs on the first side, and they had Roger Waters' music on the other side, really. So it's a bit interesting. I think you can't really tell from the other pop music. I think it's like you can hear it briefly on the radio. I think. Maybe. I think so. So yeah, When the Wind Blows, really good. It's a good film. One of Raymond Briggs' best in terms of its tone and just overall feel of it. It's very bleak. It's very sad, very bleak as well. Very bleak film, you know. And it's also of its time really, because of, you know, it's like a time capsule of what Britain will have done really if when the bomb dropped on us really in the 70s, 80s really. It's sort of like that really. It's just the fear and also people's outlook on the whole situation really. Like Britain will be caught in, we'll never be eradicated with radiation, get the nuclear bomb dropped on us, and it's like very much like that sort of thing. And also they're looking to protect and survive, which is like, you know, it's, when you think of it, it's still like it's just like a, you know, that was made, of course, that was a thing back in the day, and you sort of reminded, and people might probably watch this maybe years later and it's this very day and probably think, oh god, yeah, you know, it sort of brings back some harrowing memories to them, I think, of that time and of sheer panic. Who knows? But anyway, guys, I thank you for watching. I've been talking about Watership Down from 1978 and When the Wind Blows from 1986. So guys, thank you very much. I'll see you for the next video. See ya.